before I start, let me share something first. When I was a student, I actually had trouble studying cholinergic drugs and even much more trouble with the adrenergic drugs because the examples from the book were overwhelmingly many. And, eventually I thought that maybe this is what makes overviews crucial because the overviews ground you that despite having so many specific examples with specific uses, how they work are actually similar. And so we start by looking at the receptor, remembering, okay, again, the adrenergic receptors can be of alpha, beta, or dopamine subtypes. And of course, we have the original catecholamine ligands, which if they bind to this receptor will give us the different effects right here. If we have an adrenergic agonist on the other hand, well, being an agonist, they also elicit the same effects here upon direct binding. Now, if you have an antagonist, true to its name, then it will bind with the receptor but not allow the effects to happen. And usually, the resulting effect in a person is the reverse. We can also have synonyms for that. We can also call them anti-adrenergics or adrenergic blockers. And luckily, the prefix anti and the word blocker have negative connotations. So it's easy to think of them as antagonists as well. Now, agonists and antagonists that work this way are direct acting, simply because they go straight and make direct contact with the binding site. Now, we also have indirect acting adrenergic drugs, not a lot, but we still have some, that affect the effects of these receptors, but don't even need to bind with any beta or alpha subtype. But how do they work? The most popular example is in the form of RIs or reuptake inhibitors. If you watch my video on the intro to catecholamines, reuptake is a termination process that sucks the catecholamines from the bloodstream or the synaptic cleft back to the neuron. If this happens, then the catecholamines will have no more chance of interacting with these receptors. But since we have an inhibitor of that process, that means that this does not happen and the catecholamines will still be free to roam around and do this, and therefore we are talking about an agonistic effect. So reuptake inhibitors are indirect agonists. How about the indirect antagonists? If you want an example that is popular, luckily there is none. So again, what did I say a while ago? Despite the sheer quantity that you will be facing forward, there are just three mechanisms here: direct adrenergic agonists, direct adrenergic blockers, and indirect adrenergic agonists.